Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. Today we're actually going to talk about the Livestream recap and we're going to look over VeChain's Executive Financial Report. I'm just going to get over a brief interview in this brief overview in this recap. You can watch the Livestream if you want the entire thing. And we're going to talk about how Libra's launch might be delayed and how Sheryl Sandberg is going to testify. She is the CEO of Facebook. So we have the VeChain Financial Executive Report, and it gives us a slight overview. What we see from it is that the circulating supply of VeChain has actually increased from 61.7 billion to 63 billion. So about 75% of all the VeChain is actually out in circulation right now. The authority master nodes have stayed the same. The X nodes have decreased, which means people have actually broken some of the X nodes. There's been an increase in economic nodes, which means more people are getting economic nodes, which offsets the X nodes decrease. The team lockup has actually increased, which means the team has locked up more of their VeChain rewards for long-term lockup rather than just selling right away. And if you actually look over the report, about 68%, I think, of the new coins awarded to team members or executive team members have been locked up. And 100% of the coins awarded to executive team members have been locked up, so they're in it for the long term. The enterprise investor pool is the pool that enterprise customers and partners can actually purchase VeChain from. That's gone down about 18 million because enterprise customers have purchased about 18 million VeChain. Now that's not a lot, so enterprise customers didn't purchase a lot of VeChain from April until July. So that pool is still very big. I think as VeChain gets more and more adopted, enterprise customers and investors will have to purchase from this pool. Co-founders, development team, they've had to spend a bunch, some of that. And ongoing operation and technical development, they've actually had to spend some of that on R&D too. Business development, they spent a little bit of that, but not much. And then they have an ecosystem reserve of 190 million VET. So, and then they explain exactly what these are. And these are the expenditures. Technical R&D is 536,000. Business development's 152,000, compliance and legal 48,000, and ecosystem development 112,000 for a total of $850,000. Now, in terms of how much VET that is, I mean, it's less than half a cent per VET. So that's several hundred, maybe that's close to 1 billion VET that's actually been spent on operational stuff. Investor pool, we just said about 18 million VET has been purchased by enterprises from the investor pool. Most of those are probably just like potential partners testing it out. So announced partnerships and collaborations from May to July. We all know about Walmart Jur, which I actually covered as well. That's kind of like a lawyer type coin that's developed on VeChain. San Marino, which we've talked about, and Latitude 28, which is an Australian kind of like farm operation. So they're doing the farm to table thing. That is the one that I don't think a lot of people know about and that I haven't covered. But that is an Australian farm operation. They want to track their livestock and products for farm to table supply chain transparency. And then you have a bunch of, by the way, I'll link this Medium article in the description. Not in the description, in the comments, so you'll see it pinned. So if you want to read the entire thing, you can read the entire thing. But they attended a bunch of conferences, so they've been traveling a lot. They've had like compliance and legal, especially with all the supply chain stuff. However, that's not really as big in supply chain as it is in financial industry. So you don't see VeChain having to jump a lot of the hurdles that XLM or XRP has to. And then ecosystem development, creating valuable transactions. Sunny has basically been going around to a lot of conferences and showing different industries like fashion, food, organic foods, like the value of VeChain. So I do expect this to keep growing over the next quarter. I do expect Walmart to implement more of their product lines, and hopefully that leads to exciting things for VET and VeChain. So that's the lowdown on VeChain. The other thing is Libra launch might be delayed. They still want to launch it in 2020, but Zuckerberg said he's more concerned with doing it the right way to get in good graces with the regulators. But they are forging ahead, and they still haven't stopped working on Libra despite all the regulatory uncertainty. And one of the things that they actually did tell us is that Libra is actually more targeting developing countries, which is exactly the areas where XRP, XLM, and all those other remittance coins are actually targeting. You can call it a walled garden, but Facebook is a really, really big walled garden. And if people just stay in that ecosystem, they don't really need to use anything else. Obviously, countries are afraid of Facebook because of its vast reach of its social network, and that's why Facebook is basically the only crypto they actually care about right now. They mention it even more than Bitcoin. Sandberg is the COO, and she is hoping to alleviate some of those fears of regulators by talking to them about Facebook's technicalities, how it's not a threat to the dollar because it's actually backed by the dollar, and other things that regulators might actually be kind of worried about. So hopefully this actually gets all across. Facebook can actually launch Libra, and we'll see what actually happens after that. So that's the wrap up for today. I'll have more VeChain news today most likely, and some XRP news in other videos. Thank you and have a nice day.